Have you ever noticed something strange when watching house tours of wealthy people? You expect to see rooms packed with expensive furniture, luxury decorations, and endless collections of things. Instead, you walk into a massive living room and see almost nothing. A sofa, a coffee table, maybe a plant, and that's it. At first glance, it feels incomplete. You might even wonder if they just moved in. But here's what's interesting. Most wealthy people can afford to fill every corner of their homes with expensive items. Yet many choose not to. Why? Because as people become more successful, they often realize something most of us learn much later. The goal of wealth isn't to own more things. The goal of wealth is to gain more control over your life. Every object you own requires attention. It needs cleaning, organizing, maintaining, repairing, replacing. The more things you own, the more your possessions begin to own you. Many wealthy people understand that attention is one of the most valuable assets in the world. And they don't want to waste it managing unnecessary things. What looks like emptiness from the outside is actually intentional. It's not a lack of possessions. It's a display of priorities. The empty space isn't empty at all. It's filled with peace, freedom, and room to think. Think about what most people do when they receive extra money. They buy something. A new phone, a bigger television, a nicer car, a more expensive watch. Nothing wrong with that. Buying things feels good, but the feeling usually doesn't last very long. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. We get excited, we enjoy something new, then we adapt, and suddenly we want the next thing. Many wealthy people eventually discover this cycle. They realize that possessions create temporary happiness. Freedom creates lasting happiness. Instead of asking, "What can I buy?" they begin asking, "What can I eliminate? What can save time? What can reduce stress? What can simplify life?" That's why many rich people spend money on convenience, experiences, and flexibility rather than collecting more objects. They understand that money's greatest power isn't purchasing products. It's purchasing options. The option to travel, the option to rest, the option to spend time with family, the option to say no. So when you see a wealthy person's house with very little furniture, remember this. They're not trying to own more things. They're trying to own more freedom. And freedom is often the most expensive luxury of all. Imagine waking up in the morning. You open your closet, hundreds of clothing choices stare back at you. You spend 10 minutes deciding what to wear. Then you can't find your keys. You search for your charger. You look for an important document. Suddenly your day starts with frustration. This may seem normal, but every small decision consumes mental energy. Researchers call this decision fatigue. The more decisions you make, the less energy you have for important ones. Successful people understand this very well. That's why many famous entrepreneurs wear similar clothes every day. Not because they lack options. Because they want to save mental energy. Every unnecessary item in your home creates another decision. Where should it go? Should I keep it? Should I clean it? Should I replace it? Multiply that by thousands of objects. And suddenly your home becomes a full-time management project. Wealthy people often simplify their surroundings because they understand something powerful. Mental clarity creates better decisions. Better decisions create better opportunities. And better opportunities create more wealth. So a clean, empty room isn't just aesthetically pleasing. It's a tool for protecting focus. And focus is one of the greatest competitive advantages in life. In today's world, we're taught that every empty space should be filled. An empty wall needs decorations. An empty shelf needs ornaments. An empty schedule needs activities. We constantly fill every gap. But have you noticed something? The most luxurious places in the world rarely feel crowded. Luxury hotels, art galleries, private resorts, high-end restaurants, they all embrace space. Why? Because space creates calm. Space allows your eyes to rest. Space allows your mind to breathe. Space communicates confidence. When a person constantly fills every area with things, it often reflects a fear of emptiness. But true luxury doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't scream for attention. It quietly exists. Many wealthy people apply the same philosophy to their homes. They understand that not every corner needs furniture. Not every wall needs decoration. Not every room needs a purpose. Sometimes the greatest value comes from what isn't there. The empty spaces allow the important things to stand out. And perhaps life works the same way. Sometimes growth doesn't come from adding more. Sometimes it comes from creating space. Many people believe wealthy individuals are obsessed with gaining more. But surprisingly, many become obsessed with having less. Not less money, less burden. Every possession carries hidden costs. A luxury car requires maintenance. A larger house requires upkeep. More furniture requires cleaning. More belongings require organization. Nothing is truly free. Everything demands attention. Everything demands time. Everything demands responsibility. Over time, successful people begin to understand this equation. The more things you own, the more obligations you create. And obligations can quietly steal your freedom. That's why some wealthy individuals intentionally simplify their lives. They aren't trying to look minimalist. They're trying to protect their most valuable asset, their time. Because once money reaches a certain level, time becomes far more important. You can always make more money. You cannot make more hours. So they remove unnecessary possessions, reduce unnecessary complexity, and focus on what truly matters. Not because they can't afford more, because they can finally afford less. At the end of the day, the reason many wealthy homes appear empty has very little to do with interior design. It's actually about mindset. Many people fill their homes because they're trying to fill something inside themselves. More purchases, more status, more validation, more proof of success. But when someone feels secure in who they are, they no longer need possessions to communicate their worth. Their confidence comes from their abilities, their experiences, their relationships, their purpose, not from what's sitting on a shelf. This is why many wealthy people become less interested in collecting things and more interested in collecting freedom. More time, more choices, more peace of mind, more meaningful experiences. So when you walk into a luxurious home and notice how empty it feels, remember this. That space may not be empty at all. It may be filled with the things money can't easily buy. Calm, freedom, flexibility, security, and the ability to live life on your own terms. Because in the end, true wealth isn't measured by how much you own. It's measured by how much you no longer need.